Welcome to the SmartKeys podcast. Imagine a structural vulnerability that is so severe, it just quietly vaporizes something like $10 trillion from the global economy every single year.
Right, which is just a massive, hard to comprehend number.
Exactly, yeah. And we aren't talking about, a supply chain collapse or some massive cybersecurity breach. We are talking about your workforce's brainpower.
Yeah, it's a staggering leak in the system. And honestly, the most dangerous part is that it's happening right out in the open.
Right in front of us.
Exactly. It's completely disguised as just everyday business operations.
Yeah, which is why today we are taking a deep dive into an absolutely critical strategic issue for modern professionals.
Really looking forward to this one.
Same here. We're unpacking this phenomenal article from smartkeys.org titled Burnout Prevention in 2026, Habits That Protect Your Productivity. It's written by Felix Römer.
It's a great piece of work. Very thorough.
It really is. And, we need to be very clear right out of the gate here. This is not some fluffy feel-good wellness chat.
No, not at all.
We are looking at this strictly through the lens of corporate efficiency and, frankly, career survival. Because Gallup's State of the Global Workplace 2026 report just dropped some data that is honestly chilling.
Oh, the engagement numbers.
Yes, global employee engagement has plummeted to a mere 20%. But the truly terrifying metric, at least for me, was that manager engagement fell all the way down to 22%.
Yeah, that manager statistic is, it is the definitive canary in the coal mine for a business.
How so?
Well, your managers are basically the shock absorbers of your entire organization.
Right. They take the hits.
Exactly. So when their engagement drops to 22%, it tells us that the safety net itself is breaking under the load.
Oh, wow. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, the very people expected to shield their teams from overload are actually the ones running out of fuel first.
Which is terrifying. And to help us translate these alarming statistics into, actionable structural insights, I have our resident expert here. And I have to say, looking at your feed right now, you are sitting in this incredibly sleek, high-tech glass office.
Oh, yeah.
With this bustling, hyper-modern cityscape right behind you. It is the absolute perfect visual for what we're talking about today.
It does feel pretty appropriate, I have to admit. But, it's also a perfect metaphor for the illusion we are dealing with here.
The illusion?
Yeah, because from up here looking out, the corporate world looks like a perfectly functioning machine. It's highly optimized, frictionless, everything moving at light speed.
Right, very shiny and efficient.
Exactly. But if you zoom in, really look inside those glass buildings at the individual desk level, the human engine is overheating.
We're burning up on the inside.
We really are. We're operating in an environment that extracts this constant cognitive output but provides almost zero structural recovery.
So before we jump into how to, protect yourself and prevent burnout, we kind of need to understand the environment that you, the listener, are actually operating in every day.
We have to diagnose the environment first, yeah.
Right. Why did that engagement number drop so sharply to 20%? The article points to data from the Microsoft Work Trend Index, and they map out what they call the infinite workday.
The infinite workday. It sounds exhausting just saying it.
It really does. And the raw numbers are just difficult to wrap your head around. They found that the average knowledge worker absorbs roughly 275 interruptions a day.
Which is just a complete system failure when you consider how the human brain actually processes information.
If you do the math on a standard 8-hour workday, 275 interruptions means your focus is broken every 2 minutes.
Every 2 minutes! Think about that.
It's insane. And because of that, people are spending 60% of their entire day just managing communication.
Yeah, answering emails, checking Slack, sitting in these endless update meetings.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which leaves a measly 40% of the day for the actual deep, complex thinking work they were hired and, paid to do.
And we have to remember that 40% isn't even contiguous time. It's totally fractured.
Right. It's broken up into tiny chunks.
Exactly. Every single time you are interrupted, your brain incurs what we call a switching penalty.
Okay, unpack that for me. What's a switching penalty?
So you have to offload the complex problem you were holding in your working memory, process the new interruption, and then try to reload the original problem.
Oh, like a computer thrashing its RAM.
That is the exact perfect analogy. You might physically sit at your desk for 8 hours, but cognitively, you're doing the work of someone trying to build a house of cards in a wind tunnel.
Wow. You just never get to settle into deep work.
You don't. You can't.
The analogy that came to mind for me while reading was server capacity. It's like running a high-performance server, but you're pinging it with background requests every 2 seconds.
Yes.
And the server doesn't crash immediately, but the latency goes through the roof until the whole system just inevitably freezes.
It just grinds to a halt, yeah.
But this brings up a massive question I had while we were doing this deep dive. Because AI is everywhere now, right?
Oh, everywhere.
It's integrated into all our software. We use it to draft emails, summarize 45-minute meetings into bullet points in 10 seconds.
Right, we generate reports instantly.
Yeah. So wasn't artificial intelligence supposed to be the magic bullet that fixed this exact problem? Shouldn't our workloads be shrinking?
You'd think so, right. But what's fascinating here is how the article explains this AI paradox. They lean on what economists call the Jevons paradox.
The Jevons paradox.
Yeah, so back in the 1800s, William Stanley Jevons noticed that when steam engines became more efficient at using coal consumption didn't drop.
Wait, really? It went up.
It skyrocketed. Because suddenly it was so profitable to use steam engines for everything, they just built way more of them.
Okay, that makes sense.
And the exact same principle applies to human attention in 2026.
So because AI makes doing the work easier, we just demand exponentially more of the work.
Precisely. I mean, AI removes a significant amount of the friction and the drudgery, right?
Right, it does the heavy lifting.
But the time you save isn't handed back to you as recovery time. Instead, the market instantly raises the expected output per person.
Ah, I see.
So if AI allows you to write a complex market analysis in 1 hour instead of 4, the expectation isn't that you take a 3-hour break.
Right, the expectation is that you now produce 4 market analyses in that same time frame.
Exactly. The velocity of work ratchets up, but the human brain is still fundamentally required to oversee, verify, and strategize at this newly accelerated, just breathless pace.
It's like we completely automated the grunt work, but in the process we accidentally industrialized the thinking work.
Yes, we put human cognition on an assembly line.
No wonder everyone is exhausted.
It's totally unsustainable. And regulators are finally waking up to the fact that this isn't some individual failing, it's a structural hazard.
A structural hazard.
Yeah. By 2026, we were seeing over 15 countries implement strict right to disconnect laws.
Wow, 15 countries.
Yeah. Furthermore, global occupational safety frameworks, specifically ISO 45003, are now classifying psychosocial risks as literal workplace hazards.
Wait, explain how that works in practice. So a psychosocial risk is treated the same as, like, a physical danger.
Exactly. Under these new frameworks, a chronic, overwhelming workload is treated by auditors the exact same way they would treat a loose live wire hanging from the ceiling.
Are you serious?
Totally serious. Or like a toxic chemical spill on a factory floor.
Yeah.
The global consensus has shifted entirely.
That is massive.
It is. Designing a reasonable, human-compatible workload is now recognized as a fundamental legal and ethical duty of the employer.
Okay, so if the environment is structurally designed to overload us like this, how does a professional diagnose their own state?
It's tough, but you have to know what to look for.
Right, because if you are sitting there listening to this, feeling utterly depleted by this acceleration, how do you know if you are just having a brutal month or if you are on the verge of a systemic psychological collapse?
Well, Felix Römer's article draws a hard, brilliant line between stress and burnout.
And what is that line?
It is a critical distinction because treating burnout like it's just severe stress is like treating a broken leg with cough syrup.
Right, totally ineffective.
Exactly. They are fundamentally different physiological states. Stress is an urgent, hyper-reactive response to too much pressure.
Okay.
When you are stressed, your foot is slammed on the gas pedal. You are anxious, you might feel frantic, but you still have a sense of agency.
You still believe you can fix it.
Right. You still believe that if you just work harder, you can get things under control.
So stress is the feeling of, I have so much to do and not enough time, so I need to move faster.
Exactly.
What is burnout then?
Burnout is what happens when that gas pedal has been held down for so long that the engine stalls out entirely.
Oh, wow. The engine stall.
Yes. It is characterized by a complete lack of energy and hope. You aren't frantic anymore. You become blunted, detached, and numb.
The panic is gone, replaced by nothing.
Right. The emotions switch from urgent, high-frequency anxiety to just profound helplessness.
The article offers a highly practical diagnostic tool for this, right? They call it the weekend test.
Yes, the weekend test is fantastic.
Let's talk about that. Think about your last weekend. If you take Saturday and Sunday off, disconnect entirely, sleep in, and by Monday morning you feel like you have bounced back.
And you are ready to tackle the inbox.
Exactly. If that happens, you were just experiencing stress. A weekend off successfully clears stress.
It resets the system.
But a weekend off does absolutely nothing to fix burnout. If you have a restful weekend, but Monday morning arrives, and you still feel a deep, heavy sense of dread and exhaustion, you're dealing with burnout.
Yeah, because burnout requires a structural reduction in demands, not just a nap.
That is such a crucial difference.
And that aligns perfectly with the medical community's current stance.
Oh, the WHO classification.
Yes, the World Health Organization, in their ICD-11 classification, officially recognizes burnout as an occupational phenomenon.
Not a medical condition, right?
Right. They define it specifically as a syndrome resulting from chronic workplace stress that has not been successfully managed.
I think those last few words, not successfully managed, are so powerful.
You really are.
Because it entirely removes the shame from the equation. It explicitly states that this is not a personal weakness.
No, it is a work design issue.
Exactly. You aren't failing. The system you are in is just operating beyond biological capacity.
And the WHO outlines 3 distinct dimensions of this syndrome, which are exhaustion, cynicism, and ineffectiveness.
Okay, let's break those down. Exhaustion seems obvious.
Yeah, exhaustion is the most obvious. It's just the physical and emotional depletion. And ineffectiveness is when your actual quality of work starts to slip.
Like making silly mistakes.
Yeah, silly mistakes, missing deadlines, and your professional confidence just shatters. But cynicism is the dimension people misunderstand the most.
Yes, let's look at cynicism. Why do we suddenly become so detached?
It's fascinating.
Like, why do I suddenly start resenting the marketing department or rolling my eyes at every new project when I'm burnt out?
Because cynicism isn't just a bad attitude. It is an active neurological defense mechanism.
Wait, really? A defense mechanism?
Absolutely. When the demands placed upon you chronically exceed your capacity to meet them, your brain attempts to protect itself by severing your emotional investment.
So it's cutting its losses.
Basically, yeah. If caring about the outcome requires energy you no longer have, your brain deploys cynicism as a shield to stop the bleeding.
Wow.
You detach because it hurts too much to stay engaged and fail.
That makes so much sense. And the scary part is how these dimensions sneak up on you. The article points out an incredibly sneaky modern warning sign that I think every single listener will recognize.
Oh, I know what you're going to say.
Doom scrolling.
Yes, doom scrolling.
You finish a grueling 3-hour block of deep work, you feel totally fried, and you think, you know what, I'm going to take a break.
Right.
So you pick up your phone and scroll through a social media feed or a news aggregator for 20 minutes.
Which masquerades as rest, but is functionally the exact opposite.
Exactly. You are physically stationary on the couch, so your body feels like it's taking a break.
But cognitively.
Cognitively, you are force-feeding your visual cortex and emotional centers a fire hose of new data.
Oh, yeah. You are processing 100 different highly charged contexts in the span of just a few minutes.
You are adding massive input to a system that is already choking on input.
It's the ultimate illusion of recovery. You are still running on a cognitive treadmill.
And this raises a pivotal question for the listener.
Right, the big question.
If the macro environment is fundamentally designed to extract as much attention as possible, and burnout is driven by structural flaws, are you just a helpless cog in the machine?
Are you doomed to burn out?
That is the million-dollar question. If I want to stay ahead in my career and remain a top performer, but I absolutely refuse to sacrifice my long-term cognitive health to do it, what is my play?
The play is recognizing that while you do not control the macro environment, your personal habits are your immediate point of leverage.
Okay.
Reclaiming your personal agency is how you build an unfair competitive advantage.
How do we do that?
To do that, the article suggests you first need to objectively map out where you currently sit. They break burnout down into 5 stages to demystify the slide.
Walk us through what those stages actually look like in the real world.
Sure. Stage 1 is the honeymoon phase. This is actually the most dangerous phase because you feel fantastic.
Really?
Yeah.
The most dangerous?
Yeah, high commitment, high energy. The new job or project feels deeply fulfilling. But this is the critical time to build your recovery habits precisely because you don't feel like you need them yet.
Ah, I see. Setting up the safety net before you fall.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then stage 2 is stress onset. The honeymoon fades. You notice some irritability. Maybe your sleep quality gets choppy.
Some tasks that used to be easy suddenly feel heavier.
Yes.
This is the classic, I just need to get through this quarter and take a vacation phase, isn't it?
Exactly. But as we established with the weekend test, a vacation isn't the cure for a structural deficit.
Right.
If you don't adjust your daily habits here, you slide into stage 3, which is chronic stress.
And what does that look like?
This is where fatigue becomes your absolute baseline. The cynicism we talked about really takes root here. You might start withdrawing from social events or procrastinating heavily on major projects.
Then comes stage 4.
Yeah, stage 4 is full burnout. Pessimism dominates your entire worldview. Your physical health actively degrades.
So this is where the physical symptoms show up.
Yeah, this is where frequent migraines, digestive issues, and severe insomnia show up. You isolate yourself from your team.
And the final stage, stage 5.
Habitual burnout, low well-being becomes permanent. Your daily functioning drops to a crawl, and this is the threshold where clinical depression and severe anxiety disorders develop.
That is incredibly serious.
It is. If you reach stage 4 or 5, you absolutely require structural changes to your workload and professional medical support.
But if you catch it early,
Right. If you catch the slide in stages 1, 2, or early stage 3, you can intercept it by deploying what the article calls the core trio of biological habits.
and these sound simple, but they're deeply rooted in human biology. First, 7 to 9 hours of consistent sleep.
Consistent being the keyword.
Exactly. They emphasize that regularity, like going to bed at the same time every night, matters way more than occasionally sleeping in on a Sunday.
Absolutely.
Second, protein and fiber-rich meals. And this isn't some weight loss diet. It's about stabilizing blood sugar to prevent the massive energy crashes that destroy your afternoon focus.
So true.
And third, 20-minute movement snacks.
That last one is scientifically profound.
I actually have to push back on that one a bit.
Oh, why is that?
Because if I am staring down 75 unread emails, a looming project deadline, and my Slack is exploding, leaving my desk for a 20-minute walk feels like professional negligence.
Well, I hear that all the time.
How on earth do you justify that to your boss or even to yourself?
You justify it by looking at the biological ROI, the return on investment.
Okay, sell me on it.
A 20-minute walk doesn't just stretch your legs. It actively metabolizes and clears the stress hormones like cortisol that are heavily circulating in your bloodstream.
So it's clearing out the chemicals.
Yes. When you are stressed, your body prepares for physical combat. If you just sit in your chair and drink another coffee, those hormones have nowhere to go. They just erode your neural pathways.
Wow.
Walking chemically resets your nervous system, allowing you to return to the desk with actual cognitive clarity.
It's just like a business's operational budget.
How do you mean?
Think about your personal energy like a company's cash flow. If you run a deficit every single day, burning more energy than you regenerate, you can maybe fake it for a quarter to hit a short-term target.
Right.
But if you bleed cash every single day, eventually the whole enterprise goes bankrupt. You cannot life hack your way out of a physiological deficit.
That is a perfect analogy. And beyond the physical biology, there is the psychological battle.
Right.
Burnout thrives on the feeling of helplessness. The creeping belief that nothing you do will change your situation.
Yeah.
You have to actively counter that narrative.
And the article suggests 2 brilliant daily tactics for this.
Yeah, these are great.
First, complete one fully controllable task each morning. Just one thing where you dictate the terms from start to finish.
Exactly.
And second, keep a log of one small win each evening. But why do these tiny things matter so much in the face of a massive workload?
Because they rebuild your internal locus of control.
Your locus of control.
Right. When you are battered by 275 interruptions a day, your brain learns that it is entirely at the mercy of the environment.
So you feel like a victim to your inbox.
Exactly. By intentionally carving out one task you control and reflecting on one victory, you are providing your brain with concrete, undeniable evidence that you still have influence over your reality.
It is a daily inoculation against that cynical helplessness.
Beautifully said, yes.
Okay, so we have the biological foundation and the psychological tactics. But how do we actually implement this in the real world?
That's where the rubber meets the road.
Because knowing you need boundaries and actually telling your boss you are offline are 2 very different things.
Very different.
How do I protect my time tomorrow without looking like a slacker?
This is where we transition from theory to strategic implementation. The article recommends creating what they call a one-page boundary plan.
What actually goes on the one-pager?
It needs to be highly explicit. Document your exact working hours. Document your meeting caps, for instance. Maybe you max out at 4 hours of meetings a day to preserve deep work time.
Okay, I like that.
And document your response time expectations. You might write, I will respond to emails within 24 hours and Slack messages within 4 hours, unless it is tagged as urgent.
Setting the rules of engagement.
Yes. But the most crucial step,
Hmm.
you have to share this plan with your manager and your team.
Yes. The quote from the article that hit me the hardest was, a boundary nobody knows about is just a private wish.
It's so true.
If you silently decide you aren't checking email after 6 p.m., but you don't communicate that, your manager is going to interpret your silence as dropping the ball, not as healthy boundary setting.
Exactly. Communication turns a private wish into a respected, professional standard.
Right.
But the author, Felix Römer, is highly realistic. He knows you can't just walk into the office tomorrow and overhaul your entire work life.
It would definitely shock the system.
It would. So he provides a structured 4-week reset plan to phase these changes in safely.
Let's break that down because I love a chronological plan. Where do you even start when you're already underwater?
You start by doing absolutely nothing differently except observing.
Observing. Go ahead.
Week 1 is purely about measurement. You perform a 60-second self-check every day. Rate your fatigue, your cynicism, your productivity, and your recovery on a scale of 1 to 5.
So you just note when your energy dips.
Exactly. You need baseline data before you change the variables.
Because if you try to overhaul your schedule on day 1, you'll likely fail and just get more cynical.
Exactly right.
So after you have this terrifying baseline data from week 1, how do you physically build the stamina to actually change anything?
That brings us to week 2, and it has nothing to do with your inbox. It is entirely about sleep.
Okay.
In week 2, you set a strict device curfew 60 minutes before you want to be asleep. You leave the phone in another room.
Protecting the sleep first.
Yes. The logic here is that securing your sleep creates the biological surplus of energy you will absolutely need to tackle the harder behavioral changes in the office.
Okay, so you build up your armor first. Once you actually have the energy, how do you tackle the workplace?
In week 3, you set one major boundary and communicate it. Just one.
Not 5.
Don't try to implement 5 new rules, no. Pick the one that yields the highest return.
Like an email curfew at 6 p.m.
Yeah, or maybe it's blocking out the first 2 hours of every morning as do not disturb for deep work. Pick it, write it down, and tell your team.
This is where people get scared, though. What if the manager balks at this boundary?
It's all about framing.
Right, because if you frame it not as I'm working less, but instead as I am structuring my time this way so I can deliver higher quality, uninterrupted thinking to this team, it changes the entire dynamic.
From defensive to strategic, exactly.
And the final piece, week 4.
Week 4 is about rebuilding agency. This is where you add in that 20-minute physical movement reset during the day, and you start logging that one small win every evening.
Bringing the habits together.
Yeah. And crucially, at the end of week 4, you run that 60-second self-check again and compare it to your baseline from week 1.
And this is the moment of truth.
It really is.
Because what if you do all of this? What
Yeah.
if you fix your sleep, set firm boundaries, eat right, clear your cortisol with walks, focus on your wins, and your scores after 4 weeks have not improved at all? What then?
If we connect this back to the bigger picture, that is your definitive proof that the problem is not your personal habits. The problem is structural. That is the exact moment you must escalate the workload conversation with your manager.
But now, you aren't just complaining about being tired.
Right. You can walk into that meeting and say, look, I have optimized my recovery, my boundaries, and my focus to the absolute biological limit, and the math of this workload still does not compute.
It completely shifts the conversation to a highly professional, data-driven discussion about resource allocation and team capacity.
You stop trying to optimize harder, and you start demanding structural change.
That is incredibly empowering. It shifts the burden of a broken system off the individual's shoulders and puts it back on the organizational design where it belongs.
Where it absolutely belongs.
It's literally a diagnostic test for the viability of your job.
It really is. And, as we look at the trajectory of the modern workplace, it leaves me thinking about where we go from here.
Yeah.
Because if AI and digital tools continue to compress our workflows, and if the flood of interruptions only gets denser, it raises a critical question for the future of business.
What's the question?
Will the rigorous defense of our own attention and the fierce protection of our recovery time transition from being just a personal health habit to becoming the single most highly compensated leadership skill of the next decade?
Wow. The ability to simply think clearly amidst the noise as the ultimate premium competitive advantage. That is a massive paradigm shift to chew on. Well, we have covered a tremendous amount of ground today, from the Jevons paradox of AI to the weekend test, right through to the 4-week reset.
It's been a great discussion.
It really has. Thank you all so much for joining us for this deep dive. We explicitly want to thank you for tuning in to the SmartKeys podcast.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
If you want to stay ahead of these kinds of critical business trends and structural shifts, make sure you hit subscribe on your podcast player right now.
Definitely do that.
And you absolutely must read Felix Römer's full article to get a deeper look at these daily habits and to access that 60-second self-check we talked about. We've put the link to the original piece right in the show notes for you.
Highly recommend giving it a read.
Until next time, guard your attention, manage your energy, and remember that protecting your recovery is the most strategic thing you can do for your career. Take care.